Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to our Brook Realty's Fall Buyer Rebate Special. You are in the right room. You are in the dream room. Yes, at our Brook Realty, we birth dreams and build legacies. Yes, we do. We birth dreams and build legacies in home ownership. I am going to be your facilitator, your host today. And what is this all about? We are talking about the fall buyer rebate, the special where buyers, that is, home buyers, that is, can earn and get up to 1.5% of the commission rebate of the total broker's commission on 3%. And we're going to explain what those numbers mean and what they look like to you. But just understand and know that this is the season for our buyers to be blessed. It is our way of giving back in this season. We know that inflation has happened. I know perhaps there's been maybe some job shifting and interest rates have soared through the roof. And as an independent broker, we are able to call those shots and are able to, for this one time, offer this special rebate that's going to help level the playing field for many, many buyers. So here we go. Buckle your seatbelts. We are about to begin. I am, again, Roz Booker. I am the principal broker and I'm the CEO of our Brook Realty. We are a full service real estate company in the Collin County area. We serve DFW, Collin County, and surrounding cities. I have been in this game almost 27 years. Can you believe it? I know I don't look like it, but it has been a tremendous, tremendous journey. Now, since 2016, I've had my own independent brokerage. You know, I just throughout the years have served so many home buyers and sellers. And when God charges you, hey, to jump out of the nest, he wants you to soar. And I believe that is what he is telling many of you who have dreamed about owning a home. Maybe you've been a little afraid to get off the fence. Maybe it's been finances that have caused you to shrink back a little bit. But one thing about it, in our expertise, we have a habit, just like I posted earlier today, we have a habit of finding the cha-ching for our buyers. I love community. I have been a community person for several years. I have a combined number of years of not only entrepreneurial experience, but C-suite corporate marketing background of almost 39 years. I know it doesn't look like it. So I have been out here in the industry and still now am still a part of community. I am on a couple of boards. The newly onboarded VP for the Women's Council of Realtors in Collin County. I'm a proud member of NAREB, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the North Texas division, and we fight for democracy in housing to help bridge the gap for those underrepresented communities, right? For people who should own a home but don't. Guess what? But we're making headway for you. Just know that. So this is, again, the season. How many people would want to be in their home by Thanksgiving? How many people would want their own home, to have you and your family sitting around the dinner table and opening up gifts on Christmas this year? It's very, very possible. So this is our season. This is our window of time to give back to our buyers. Okay, let's see what it's all about. What is a rebate? So I'm going to take you to the Texas Real Estate Commission, because a lot of people is like, could that be really legal? Is that real? Absolutely. Well, let me tell you how the Texas Real Estate Commission defines a rebate. It's a part of any license holder's commission. And as a real estate professional, we generally earn a commission. That means commission that's paid by the seller at closing and funding when you buy a home. Many times buyers think that they have to hire an agent to be represented and that they have to pay them. And that is not true. The seller generally pays the commission of who? The agent that's representing you as a buyer. So a rebate, it can be cash, it could be anything of value. There's no limit to how much the rebate is. So it's basically money that's given back to the buyer at closing. So hand clap for that. Yes, a real estate broker is able to rebate a portion, all of their commission if they want to. I don't know who's working for free though, but that's how it's able to be done. And that is what is considered a rebate. Now, I want you to hold your questions to the end because we're going to repeat this webinar and I want to make sure we give you your undivided attention. So I hope you have your e-device, your journal, your notepad so that you can take notes along the way and ask me those questions. So we're going to talk about 2 conditions that the rebate can be yours. First of all, if you are a homeowner, that means you own a home that you must sell in order for you to purchase a new property. What will happen is that we will list and sell your home for you. So you would have to employ us as your listing agent. So you would go and select your brand new home at your master plan community, right? And you would go under contract with that builder for the purchase of your new home. So what will happen is that builder will write a contingency clause or attach an addendum saying that the purchase of your new home is contingent upon the sale of your existing home. Okay. Now, the great thing about it is we can offer you the rebate either on the selling end or we can offer you the rebate on the buying end. Let's go to the next slide. The next condition is, well, what if you don't have a property to sell? Well, that's okay. If you're just merely a renter and it's time for you to buy and you have been looking at new construction or you're looking to be represented in new construction, we can help you with that. But we must execute a buyer-tenant representation agreement that employs us and gives us the permission for our files, and so that everything's above board, that gives us the authorization to represent you as a home buyer. Here is the buyer's rebate explained. Now we'll look on the left side where it says seller pays 3%. So the seller, and in this case would be the builder, pays 3% to the buyer's broker or the buyer's sponsoring broker, whatever broker is representing you in the purchase of your new home. Okay. So the seller, again, is equated to the builder in this case. And you're asking, well, 3% of what? 3% of the total commission that the builder or the seller usually pays the sponsoring broker. Now, if you go to the top right, the bubble that says you get 1.5% at closing, that's you, the buyer, right? So 1.5% or 50% of the 3% commission does equate to 1.5%. Now the bottom bubble, we get 1.5% at closing, means the sponsoring broker, because all commissions are always payable to the broker. And whatever that agreement is between the broker and your agent, that's between them. Okay. I hope this is clear. Are you excited yet? Well, this slide just talks about the scale of various sales prices so that you know how much 1.5% is and what that looks like. So on a $200,000 home, and by the way, there's not many homes out there for $200,000 that are standing, that are habitable. Not saying it's impossible, but not many in new construction. But for the sake of the math, we do want to go ahead and cover it. $200,000, your buyer's rebate at closing and funding would be $3,000. On a purchase price of $300,000, your buyer's rebate will be $4,500 at closing and funding. $400,000, your rebate, okay, is getting bigger and bigger, is $6,000. $500,000, your rebate is $7,500. So some builders offer the sponsoring broker as an incentive a bonus. Any bonuses are not calculated in the rebate to the buyer. We just wanted to make that clear and make that clear up front. So let's use an example of what a $400,000 sales price would look like in terms of your out of pocket and what the rebate applied would look like. So if you purchased a home at $400,000, considering you may be eligible to be approved for an FHA loan, the down payment requirement for FHA is a minimum of 3.5% down. Well, if you multiply $400,000 times 3.5%, you get $14,000. Okay. The estimated closing cost in prepaids, you're like, what is that? That is the fees charged to do the loan. That's going to be the title fees, the mortgage lender fees, any state government fees, any prepaid interest, meaning your escrows, any prepaid insurance, any prepaid property taxes, and possibly HOA, is approximately $14,000 on a $400,000 home. So when you add your down payment of $14,000 and your closing cost and prepaids of $14,000, you get a total estimated out-of-pocket cost for the buyer is $28,000. Some sellers or builders are offering or could offer a concession of closing cost assistance that will be credited back to you of approximately $5,000. Now, don't quote me on that because some are more, some are less. But for the sake of rendering the numbers and giving you an example, we'll use $5,000. Now, here comes the drum roll. You're like, where is the rebate that you were talking about? Well, at $400,000, your rebate on a 3% commission paid to the broker would be a credit to you of $6,000 at closing and funding. Well, when you add up the total concessions, that means the credit that is due you from the builder and the rebate, that equals $11,000. If you subtract $11,000 from your total estimated out of pocket from $28,000, that leaves you with cash to close of approximately $17,000. Now, here's what you should note. I told you we've spent quite a few years mastering our relationships with our lender partners, municipalities, city governments, etc., to find funding for many of our buyers who would not normally be able to afford a home. So I will tell you, I do know of a handful in my network of banks, mortgage lenders, and others that have access to home buyers assistance. That is for additional layered down payment assistance and other types of portfolio loans that would afford a buyer like yourself the opportunity to even shave off and reduce your total cash to close. So I know some people probably saw 17,000 and you probably said, well, $11,000 credit, that's good, but not good enough for me. I don't have that much saved. I only have a few $1,000s saved. Maybe I have $5,000 saved, $4,000 saved, right? Don't you worry. It gets better. If you qualify, there are, again, down payment programs that could work for you. Let's go to the next slide and let me give you an example. We'll still use $400,000 sales price, 3.5% down payment. Let's say that you're getting an FHA loan. $14,000 closing costs and prepaids, your total $28,000. Let's say the builder is paying $5,000 closing cost assistance. Drum roll. Here comes the rebate from your wonderful broker. That's $6,000. So that's still $11,000 in concessions so far. But maybe based on your great credit and your low debt to income ratio, we were able to layer or find you additional down payment assistance or 100% financing, which means a zero down payment loan, right? Well, guess what? That just shaved off another $14,000. So now you have $5,000 in closing cost assistance from the builder, a $6,000 rebate, right, from your wonderful broker. And then you found a down payment assistance program, which is actually going to be used as a gift from the municipality or the program to you. Okay. So you have come up with $25,000. People, did you hear me? $25K, just like that, for you to own a home, for you to own a home for what you're paying in rent right now. And let me tell you, as the interest rate has risen, consecutively, rent prices have also risen, and it's not going to get any better. And let me just throw a little shameless plug. And no, I am not the typical salesperson. I know as a real estate professional, we transact business to get you to the closing table, but I will never sell you a dream that you don't want. The reason that you're here, you're listening to this webinar, is because you've already been sold on the promise and the idea that you want to buy. It is my job to connect you with a network of people to help you achieve your dream. And that's exactly what we're doing. Let's look at this bottom line. You have $28,000 that would have been out of your pocket. That's your total estimated out of pocket. But because we have found up to $25,000 in credits or concessions for you through down payment and closing cost assistance, your total out of pocket or cash to close is now $3,000 on a $400,000 home. Now, may I tell you that your earnest money deposit could be $1,500 It could be $3,500. It could be $5,000, depending on the builder. Okay. But that is money that's credited toward your out-of-pocket expenses. So what does that mean? That means you could potentially, if you've put up a $3,000 earnest money deposit, that could mean you're coming to the table with zero. Yes, $400,000 home. You have given your landlord two black eyes, meaning you've stopped making them rich, and you are starting to build legacy wealth through equity in home ownership, something that is lasting and something that you can pay forward and something that you can give your children's children's children. Let me tell you, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You probably already know the longer you stay in your home, the probability, as it has been the last 7 years, you're going to reap ROI, an exponential ROI on your investment. The truth is, you're going to have to stay somewhere anyway, right? You may as well pay your own mortgage instead of someone else's. Well, here are some good things to know. I want to go through these slides with you really quickly. There are some additional things you need to know in order for the rebate to really work seamlessly. Now, your agent, your buyer's agent, should accompany you at your first initial visit to the builder. If they cannot be with you, it is very, very important that that buyer's agent give the sales agent, the sales counselor that works at the builder, a call to properly register the broker and the buyer's agent as a client, as your client. Okay. And that's very important because builders want to know that they're working with clients who are working with a broker who has procured the source. Okay. So you must do this before executing and signing a contract for your home purchase. I cannot stress enough how important this is. Otherwise, the rebate program will not work for you. The next thing that's good to know is that the rebate payment, it is subject to very clear above board, on top of the table disclosure. And it requires the approval from the following parties before closing. The builder is going to know about it, obviously. They may have an addendum to add. Of course, you as the buyer, you're going to know about it. You have to give consent in writing by signing the proper documentation. The sponsoring broker. So your agent has a broker that's sponsoring them, right? So if you're using an agent, that broker, Arbrook Realty, whoever the broker is going to have to approve you providing the rebate. Why do I say that? Some brokers may not allow rebates to be paid. Some brokers may not allow it because it's not a part of their policies and procedures. And furthermore, some brokers may not allow it because they're like, I'm not giving up any. I'm giving the buyers nothing. Well, that's their prerogative, but this is our gift, okay? And the other person, of course, is the license holder's buyer's lender, okay? Your lender, whoever you're getting your financing through, they're going to have to approve it. And of course, the title company and the lender will work diligently to get the closing disclosure prepared for you. So as you can see, line up on line, precept upon precept, above board, on top of the table, the rebate will be documented and everybody will give their full consent. The next thing that's good to know is that this only applies The rebate only applies to new construction inventory, homes that have never been lived in. And you as a buyer must close and fund on the new construction property on or before November 30th of 2023 in order for you to receive the rebate. Now, if the builder's commission that's offered, this will be very rare, but if the builder's commission offered to the sponsoring broker is less than 3%, then obviously the rebate to you as a buyer must be adjusted accordingly. That bridge will be crossed if and when we get there. The next thing that's good to know is that the maximum buyer's rebate may be subject to the buyer's lender's approval. Why? Because some lenders may put a cap on the amount of the rebate not to exceed the amount of your closing cost. Okay. Now that would be totally out of the builder's hands, and that's totally out of the broker's hands. That's not our decision. That would be a lender decision. Now, for instance, if that rebate of $6,000 on a $400,000 home exceeded what the lender said you as a buyer could receive, maybe they said you can only receive 5,500 of that 6,000, then that would be the maximum rebate as a broker that we would be able to provide you. And that difference of that 500 could not be paid outside of closing. That's prohibited. Okay. So I tell you what, I don't know what you're waiting on. What questions do you have? Send us your questions. Put your questions in the chat box. Add your questions to our DM. We are here to serve your real estate needs. And I guess you're wondering, what is the very next step? Well, you're going to need to get pre-qualified for the mortgage loan before you go shopping, right? So that's either going to be one of two ways. You're going to pre-qualify with an outside lender, and we have a network of lenders, all types of lenders that have access to different down payment, closing cost assistance programs, even grant programs, right? And you could also first be approved with the builder's lender. Now, I will say most, if not all, builders have an affiliated business arrangement with a preferred lender that's tied to their concession. So a lot of builders will say, if you use my lender, we will give you X amount of dollars to apply towards your closing costs or off the price, etc. But you must use our lender. I always say, get more than one opinion. Check with an outside lender. If you have been working with a lender for months who have been very diligent in getting your credit score, your improved, your debt to income ratio reduced, you may have an allegiance to that lender no matter what the builder's lender is offering. And that's where a reputable outside lender who has a reputation of closing on time and, having great communication and 5-star reviews will help get you to the closing table. I want you to know you do not have to be forced to use a builder's lender. But then often some of the builder's incentives are just so excessive that many of the outside lenders sometimes cannot compete. I have seen both ways. I have seen clients who's like, no, I am going to stick with this outside lender. They're the ones who stayed up, burning both ends, helping me get my credit approved. I'm not concerned about what the builder's lender is offering. Now that's allegiance, that's loyalty. That was their decision. Okay. Then I've had others that says, wow, Roz is a broker, what am I supposed to do? And it's not my decision. But sometimes, when you scrub the numbers, it's just no contest. The builder sometime in their lenders can offer a much better deal. Our job is to make sure we provide you with as much information as possible for you to make an informed decision about your dream home. So I am Rosalind Booker. Again, I am the principal broker, CEO of Arbrook Realty. We would love for you, your family and friends, everyone who has had a dream to own a home, to give us a call. Take advantage while this offer is on the table of our buyer rebate program. We want to help birth your dreams and build legacies in real estate. Bye-bye.